You're watching 7 Days of Grace with Keith Fleming. 7-minute conversations, 7 areas of life, 7 days a week. If you're lonely, dissatisfied, unfulfilled, or searching for purpose, then the 7 Days of Grace community is for you. All right, let the journey begin. Here's your host, Keith Fleming.
Hey everybody, welcome to 7 Days of Grace. Keith Fleming here. So glad you joined us. If you missed episode 10, it was a review of all the tools and resources to help us figure out a little bit more about who we are, what our passions are, our identity, our values, things like that. And I just wanted to do a really quick follow-up to remind everybody, if you didn't see episode 10, check it out. All the links are in the video. And I have 22 things I just want to quickly tell you about that I think are really cool. The first one here, real quick flash. This is a tool where I tried to figure out goals and things like that. And I was really struggling because everybody assumes that you know what your goals are, what your interests are, what your passions are. And if you don't have those, everyone's like, just find a passion. And it's like, it doesn't work like that. You need to know a little bit more about what really makes you tick, especially if you've experienced the adopted persona, which most people have. I wasn't just willing to blindly accept who I've been told I am or what I'm supposed to do or what I'm good at. And so I went on this journey to figure it out for myself, get answers for myself. So the next thing I did, because the goals were hard, is this thing called mind mapping. Now mind mapping is kind of interesting. You can Google that and check it out. But you pick a topic or an area, you need to start branching out and basically filling out this mind map to help see some patterns and get some ideas and things on paper. Another thing that was really interesting is I journaled a lot, okay? And some of the patterns, like for me, it was like, I love writing more than video or presenting. I love writing, teaching, speaking, motivating, just really advising and things like that. But, it's just a lot of journaling. This is the page from one of my journals. So I encourage journaling if you've never journaled before. Write down anything. Another thing that I really wanted to quickly show is the DISC. And it's on the other video, but I just wanted to say a little bit more about DISC, because DISC is it's supposed to be about your communication styles, right? Everybody has a way of communicating and a preferred way of receiving communication. So the DISC is pretty cool. It can show you, if you find the right one, your natural style and your adapted style. A lot of this is used for companies to kind of profile a little bit and figure out, do you fit kind of in general the types of personalities and people that we have. So pretty cool. Encourage you to check that out. Another thing that I had experience with in life was Gallup's Strengths Finder. Really cool. It'll come up with like 5 major strengths that you have that can be obviously leveraged in your career and in life, and give you a lot of additional insight. So check out Strengths Finder. I came across this phenomenal book by Miss Dunning, and it was basically your career type. And a couple things, it'll isolate and use like the Myers-Briggs, the ISTJ, and the descriptions and the information written in this book were a major staple for a long, long time. The other interesting thing is, it helps you isolate and say, oh, well, if you're introverted like I am, I think I'm one of the, what do they call, omnivert, extrovert, introvert, but mostly introverted way of living and operating. And it goes through and eventually starts listing out all, not just characteristics and qualities, but also how those relate to many different jobs that other people tested and came up with and said, hey, I'm in this job and here's how it works for me. Really cool book. I encourage you to check it out. The other really cool website I went to was called livecareer.com. And it's a lot about your interest, right? Figuring out what your interests are in terms of different job categories and types of things you like to do. For me, and then it rates it, it scores it. So 99% for writing, 6 for personal service, art, teaching, social services for myself. So what's interesting is I ignored a lot of these as an adult, but as a kid, they all made sense. So we're going to talk a little bit about that deeper in upcoming episode as well. And then it is pages and pages of different categories of job categories, but it also goes into just flat out things that you would like to study and dig into more from a college or workshops or that type of perspective. Now, I did mention before that they do have, in one of the tests that I took here, an area about values. And this is it, by the way. You get a page and they completely missed the boat on values. Values are what's most important to you, but there's so much more to it. And the values kind of are the starting point of where that adopted persona really gets messed up. So we're going to dig into that as a category as well. And then this next one here really quick, Career Stop. It's career1stop.org. And I'm just showing you a page. They come in they give you like 20 pages or more. But this was cool because it broke down categorically that I'm an artist, social, and all these different categories. And then those kind of help define and put some parameters and definitions around areas of interest that also would relate to jobs. And as you can tell, everything was really all about, again, this is just my notes putting it all together, but everything is about your workplace fit. And everything for me was, what am I good at? What do I want to spend my life doing? I don't want to waste it. And I definitely want to be happy. And there's a lot of quotes from great leaders out there that would say, hey, do what you love, right? Warren Buffett, do what you love. And Steve Jobs, and just so many people are like, just do what you love, and the rest follows. So, and it's so true. So yeah, on this one it was artistic creator, 99 percentile, attentive server, and social helper. So ironically, I have a sociology degree that I never pursued or used because I just didn't get it at that time. I was too young. So, okay, a couple more really quick. Hopefully this isn't going too long, but this is a whiteboard. Actually, we're at a workplace. I stayed late at night. Of course, I was a leader, supervisor, manager, so I could do that. And I, on this whiteboard, literally wrote down all my skills, all my gifts, everything I'm interested in, and the things that is from goals. What do I want to be? What do I want to have? What do I want to do? And then what are my beliefs? And what are my values? And I took all of that and just like, there's this movie, an old movie with Russell Crowe called A Beautiful Mind. I kind of have that. Actually, I do. And I was able to really draw a lot of lines, and I'll pop it up there for you to see. So that was a really cool exercise I did at one point. Another one was I did a life inventory drill where I bucketed across the top the timeline of my life, but basically in chunks of like every 5 to maybe 10 years. And below that were all the same things, like what am I good at? What did I tend to be involved in? Where did I get lost in time? What were the things I was doing? Whether when you're really young, for me, drawing and singing and building forts, like I said in some videos. And then over time, I color coded it, kind of nerdy, right? But I wanted to find the patterns. What kind of kept popping up as you get older, right? Because the adopted persona and society and your parents and your employers, everybody's like pigeonholing you into a particular thing. And with the adopted persona, if you're chasing after people pleasing, you're chasing after money, sure, you could be successful and be really good at it, but it's not going to be fulfilling. And that's the whole point here, right? So one of the other things I did is I did one of those circle drawings. I'll pop it up here real quick so you can see it. But I was like, what are the 3 main areas of life that just really mean a lot to me in terms of value. But what are the skills in each of those areas? And what are, some of the gifts I have and things like that. And then what in the middle is the theme. And for me, it's all about themes. So that was a drill that I did. And then if you saw the last video, I was talking about, how I kind of just slipped into this other world, this spiritual, basically new age. But I found very fascinating, I have to tell you, very interesting things like numerology, right? My birth date, the number 27, it says courageous. Well, very interesting story I want to tell you real quick, because I got this card in 1995 or something like that, right? And it was a gift, right? A birthday thing. And I just didn't even read past the inside, which was just a message to me. And then on the back, it had all these explanations from a numerological perspective. And I pulled it out, like it fell out of a book really one day. And I was like, oh, this is weird, very interesting, especially, 20 years later. So that led to, finding other books, on birth dates and they tell you, your secret self and what's your work and your vocation. I was like, oh, bingo, you got me. That's what I've been hunting on. So really interesting. And I guess, and I can't show you, but I've got like transcripts of tarot readings and astrology and multiple different types of things over the years. And I'll tell you, like I said on the last video, it is very, very interesting, but very, very, I don't know, it's just so mystical and dark at the same time. And you'll get these little nuggets and you'll jump onto them, but they don't really lead anywhere. They're not fulfilling. They ultimately left me very dissatisfied and like, okay, there's these little cool nuggets. But what really got me was, out of all of the material, which I've only shown you a chunk, but out of all of these, and I've done it for years and years, 26 years worth of this type of stuff. And they all had patterns, and I'm a patterns guy. And how is that happening? How is that possible? Well, there's a dark demonic side of that you might not like to hear about, but it's true. So I caution you to be very, very, very careful considering looking at things like that. And when you look outside of yourself, and if you're but you're doing it from an inward to outward perspective, you won't find the answers. So I can tell you for sure. And I'm excited to hear about your journey and how I did it. But ultimately, I ran across a couple other things, like just trying to figure out my spiritual gifts. And I went to a class that was like, okay, let's talk about your spiritual gifts and basically what are your natural born talents and abilities, if you will. And I found some really good sites. I'll put them in the descriptions below. But I'm telling you, it really was an anchoring piece to my journey that I was on. So one of them that came up, number one, was a teacher. I thought that was very interesting, and I'll explain why later. Also, the other one was basically an encourager or exhortation, right? It's all about what I'm doing with you guys, right? Let's transform, basically I'm a coach, and I love it. And then the other part, which is who I've been my whole life, is a leader, right? Administration, but it's a leader, right? The person that's guiding and an expert at taking their team and their crew and going through the journey at whatever you may be involved in, whether it's actual sports or at work. So anyway, there's a bunch more I want to share with you. Got to keep this short, but I had to follow up with basically episode number 10 just to show you that these things are tangibly real. And we're going to dig in deeper because we're looking at your comments. Want to see in the comments below, tell me about your journey. What are some of the tools, whether it was coaches or webinars and seminars and books and tapes and CDs and et cetera, et cetera. I'd love to hear about that. We're going to talk about it and enjoy doing this and going on the journey with you. Don't forget to also go to 7 Days of Grace website and check it out. All right, remember, you're awesome.
Go ahead, join the 7 Days of Grace community by subscribing, turning the notifications bell to all, and get into journey conversations by leaving your comments. Let Keith know what areas of life you want to talk about on future videos. Click on the compass icon and pick your area of interest for deeper discussions, groups, events, and more. Remember, people are lonely, unhappy, and need community. Share this message with your friends and family and make their day.